Hi, I'm an ultra runner.
Day and night.
I've run for 23 hours straight, but somehow never raced a marathon. Until this year. Stick around to see why 100 miles is actually easier than 26.2. The most humbling running experience wasn't on the trails, racking up vert and putting up huge miles. It was on the flat, paved streets of Sacramento as I ran the CIM marathon. I'll break down why marathons are uniquely brutal for ultra runners and why fit isn't the same as ready. I'm also going to walk you through my own journey from ultra runner to first-time marathoner, and despite what you think, maybe even settle the debate to see if marathons are actually harder than ultras. Ultra runners' fear of the marathon doesn't come from lack of ability, it comes from lack of preparation. And the more you understand the difference between these two types of races, the more apparent that fear becomes. But to get there, we're going to explore the difference in mindset between the two types of runners, and also investigate why the shorter distance of this unique beast takes such a physical toll on the body. But to truly understand this, you have to know that the bodies of a pure marathoner and an elite trail runner are completely different machines. Because while ultras teach you endurance, marathons teach you what it's like to live on the edge for 2+ hours if you're lucky.
I toss and turn, I keep stressing my mind. I look for peace, but see I don't attain.
As an ultra runner, I'd always thought of myself as somebody who has infinite gas. I was putting in 14-hour+ weeks and racking up over 100 miles and 20,000 feet of vert every single week. At my best when I was training for ultras, my engine was all about aerobic efficiency, and I was a freaking diesel truck out on the trails. This was built from countless hours of time on feet and a relentless ability to suffer. But this kind of suffering doesn't translate to the marathon so well. The true marathoner is much closer to a race car than a tank, and holding a consistent pace over a fixed distance is what's in that type of runner's wheelhouse. I'm not going to be dramatic and make it sound like the marathon's a sprint, but the training required to actually throw down at the marathon distance requires intensity. It was that intensity that I shied away from when I graduated college and left the track team, falsely believing that if I switched to trails and ultra, I'd no longer have to run at threshold or do some painful intervals on the track. I missed out on years of bumping up my lactate threshold and eventually became a one-speed wonder. I could go all day without breaking down, but when it came time to pick up the pace, my fast twitch fibers would fatigue out faster than a 7th grader running the mile in gym class. Not to mention that I was returning from an injury that lasted over a year, and that's the kind of time off that could make some people decide that competitive running isn't worth it anymore. But I pushed through and got healthy again. And that's to say that when I was ready to race again, it was even harder for me to develop leg speed. So it was only natural that when I tried to do this marathon, I was not prepared in the slightest. There's something that you just have to train if you want to be able to press for a long time. The marathon is just a test of holding on to speed, and to my legs, that felt like a foreign concept. And it's this aggressive commitment to pace that ultra runners truly fear about the marathon. As I waited in the corral at CIM, the fastest marathon course in America, I had the realization that every tangent on the course mattered. Each turn, taken wide on the outside of a pack, was adding to my time. And being in no man's land without someone to follow and draft behind would be energy that was lost, not available to spend later on. While these small things add up in ultra running too, the degree of impact that they have is much lower. You'll have many more hours ahead to make up time through correct decisions or lose it completely from critical mistakes. In a marathon, you don't get that second chance. While you might go through waves and get a second wind in a marathon, the time you lose isn't going to be made back up. And for all these physical differences in intensity, the sheer mental focus that's required not to bleed time here and there in a marathon is immense. In an ultra, you expect highs and lows, but if you hit a low during a marathon, that can really catch you off guard. I know there will be dark moments when I'm racing for a long time on the trail. The emphasis on problem solving over speed is what makes this distance so appealing to people as a challenge. And overcoming these is part of the journey and half the reason why people sign up for these races in the first place. Testing your resilience is table stakes in an ultramarathon. It's these moments of reckoning that let you grow from ultras and keep coming back to them.
I try to run, but see, I'm not that fast. I think I'm first, but surely finish last.
While I reconcile the difference between these two worlds, I'm trying to get back to the elite level of trail running while simultaneously dropping my marathon time to under 2:16 in order to qualify for the Olympic trials. You'll see this story unfold as I craft myself into the hybrid athlete of the running world. Developing the skills to endure the pain inflicted by the marathon and ultras is what drives me in this challenge. Subscribe if you want to be here for this unbelievable transformation. And it's the very difference between these two disciplines, built upon the same foundation of aerobic work, that inspires me to want to conquer both of them.
Madness, the magnet keeps attracting me.
There is no reprieve from the effort that is marathon pace. Because of this, it's not just the physical side that scares ultra runners about the marathon, it's also the mental side. With the increased emphasis on pace comes a much higher level of sustained psychological stress, and puts you in a much more fragile mental state as you question why you're doing this. As soon as the race starts, you're on the clock. While people contend with cutoff times in ultras as well, most runners I know don't care if they finish a 100-miler in 30 hours or 32 hours. As long as they're able to get their belt buckle, it doesn't really matter. In the marathon, major milestones are counted in minutes, and success is even decided in seconds. Humans have picked arbitrary distances to test ourselves over. Whether it's the random 26.2, or the nice round 100, the numbers we strive to see on the clock just because they look good on paper have the potential to impact how you see yourself as an athlete.
He's all alone, some things will never change. The lonely loner seems to free his mind at night.
It's not only socially unacceptable to sit in a chair during a marathon unless you're in the medical tent, aid stations come fast and furious and don't offer you the same mental opportunity to reset like in a trail race. If you thought fueling was hard during an ultra, just wait until you try a marathon. Marathons require the same commitment to carbs, but at a much higher intensity and without even taking a break. It's one thing to be walking while calling it power hiking and having a snack, but it's totally different to run like you're being chased while simultaneously needing to eat some food if you don't want to be caught. Let me tell you, that gel is not going down the same. And if carbs weren't the most of your worries, just think about hydration. You can strategically time things on the trails so that you're not bombing downhill right after you gulped down an entire flask of scratch. Beyond the nutrition aspect, pacing is a completely different animal. As long as you're running comfortably in zone 2, or sometimes even slower in an ultra, where a difference of 1 minute per mile might have no impact whatsoever on the outcome of your race, in a marathon, even the difference of 5 to 10 seconds per mile can come back as an evil surprise around mile 20. It might not even feel hard or wrong right at that point until it's suddenly time to pay it back all at once. This lack of deviation in pace also makes it so that your legs have no opportunity to recover. Instead of alternating between uphill, downhill, maybe even a little flat, and using slightly different stabilizer muscles for all of those stride patterns, racing a typical marathon is going to reveal your weaknesses right away. And to acclimate to this relentless pounding, you first have to overcome the part that nobody talks about enough: the ground itself. It's a night and day difference between running on a mountain trail and running on pavement. The variety of terrain on a trail not only prevents repetitive strain, but is also softer. There's an indescribably deep soreness that can develop from running on hard pavement. Your muscles might be so obliterated by the impact that it feels like the bone itself is sore. And the asphalt is unforgiving. If you have a slight imbalance in your stride, and even a small muscle causing you pain, there's not an effective way to really adjust your stride mechanics to deal with this during a marathon. But during an ultra, you can do a combination of walking and running. You can try running on the side of the trail that's sloped. You could even try taking a nap. But you don't have these luxuries in a marathon.
Within his dreams he sees the life he made. The pain is deep.
And I learned this the hard way when I went out with the intention of trying to break 2:30 in the marathon. I had some serious doubts if I was prepared for this, but despite that uncertainty, I was committed to giving it my best effort. What this meant is that I was okay with the possibility of going out and royally blowing up. I went through the half marathon split right on target, and I lifted the pace ever so slightly just to stay on track. But sure enough, when mile 16 rolled around, I felt the pace start to grip my legs as they seized with the exertion. By this point, I did my best to keep a high output because I figured that if I maintained this effort, I'd at least come away with a time that accurately represented my fitness and gave me a benchmark to improve from. Unfortunately, unlike ultras, once you pop, you really pop in a marathon and there's no coming back from it. From 5:40 to 6 minutes, then to 6:30, and it was an upward trajectory from there. By the time I hit mile 20, my legs were fully cramping, and I was doing the most just to not walk. This muscle shutdown slowed me to over 8 minutes per mile, and things just got worse from there. Because my output had dropped so dramatically, I was starting to get cold. In a marathon, there's no one out there giving you hot broth or passing you hand warmers. During an ultra, when you've got a whole team to support you, things like this don't matter. You could put on a jacket, get some new gloves, and soldier on.
To free his mind and searcher, to free his mind and searcher, to free his mind and searcher, day and night.
While we've focused on the difference between marathons and ultras up to this point, the ability to run long distances efficiently is the key similarity that makes it possible to achieve success in both of them. While optimizing your marathon performance stems from building around intensity, having the ability to run at a variety of paces is also a critical skill that ultra runners should have. The impact on your performance is certainly different because you can survive an ultra without high intensity, but you'll also be leaving gains on the table by not developing the highest ends of your aerobic system. And if neglected for too long, this physiology will start to atrophy and you'll lose progress that you've previously made. I learned this the hard way when I swore off intensity and completely gave up running fast when I switched to ultras. It was that same decision to avoid pain that has ultimately led me back to seek it out now in an effort to regain that lost speed. But it takes time to develop this, and so I'll patiently wait as my bones get denser, my muscles fill up with mitochondria, and my aerobic system gets jacked up with red blood cells. Doing things you're uncomfortable with in running is tremendously motivational to make you want to improve them. So while I could only manage a 2:45 at CIM this year, just watch me come back and run 30 minutes faster. Hopefully by now you can see why 100 miles is easier than a marathon. It's because it literally is. Whether you're an ultra runner or a marathoner, I want to hear your experiences. Let me know in the comments, which discipline do you find more challenging? Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to support the channel. And if you thought the marathon was a different beast, try a half marathon. Click here to see the half marathon mistakes that runners keep making, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!
At night.